say, what that is? He say, words. My, you're so, come on, let's go. It's all right. Vum, 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 and motorcycle take out of there, 85, 9, 110, 155 miles an hour, winging in and out of all this traffic. And there's a great big semi, double clutch and E-flat tractor trailer truck going up this mountain. And just he got right up behind it, there's a little sign on the back that say, I might be slow, but I'm ahead of you. Oh, beloved, that destroyed him because today he ever learned how to read. Yes. Then he got hung up on cussing his own self because he couldn't remember the exact day that he had learned how to read. And he just grabbed this handlebar grip and twisted it where the acceleration is, and that motorcycle take off around that big truck, teeth, hair, and eyes all over the concrete, a wheel spinning, scoom, scoom, scoom. And here come the fuzz. Police, law, spelled backwards, wow. Little double bubble gum machine on top going bloop, 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 bloop. He drive in there real fast and stopping the big fishing pole on the back goes shoom, 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 shoom. Dust emanating from the tires. This South Alabama constable gets out of that unit, slams that door, clonk, walks around just as serious like this. What's going on here? That means what's going on here. What happened to them lovely children? 3 little old boys standing there, little Willie Jr. and Roosevelt. Look up and just says, you see, what happened to them lovely children? He's got this flashlight in his hand. It's got 86 flashlight batteries in it. He can just turn that thing around, touch a heifer, and knock her 285 yards. Fierce instrument. Says, what's going on here? What happened to them children? Say, yes, sir, Mr. Officer. I'll be glad to tell you the whole thing, exactly the way it played. I will graphically describe the situation as being Junior and Willie Sr. Just exactly like, blam, woo, don't hit me no more, said I tell you what happened. He'll say, blam, he say, whoo, thank you for just hitting me one more time. Said, what happened to them children? So, well, Mr. Charles, he was killed outright, but Miss Baby's okay, and me and Roosevelt turned her head around. Thank you, and God bless you. CK to sing you a little song here called Toot Toot Tootsie Goodbye. Well, yesterday I heard a lover sigh, goodbye, oh me, oh my. Now 7 times he got aboard his train, and 7 times he hurried back to kiss his love again and tell her, toot-toot-tootsie goodbye. Toot-toot-tootsie, don't cry. That choo-choo train that takes me away from you, no word can tell how sad it makes me. Kiss me, Tootsie, and then do it over again. Once for the mail, I'll never fail. You don't get a letter, then you'll know I'm in jail. Tootsie, goodbye. Goodbye, Tootsie, goodbye. Tootsie, goodbye. Tootsie, don't cry. That choo-choo train that takes me away from you, no word can tell how sad it makes me. Oh, kiss me, Tootsie, and then do it over again. Once for the mail, I'll never fail. You don't get a letter, then you'll know I'm in jail. Tootsie, goodbye. Goodbye, Tootsie, goodbye. As we wander through life studying about the highways and the byways and people that drive vehicles, motor vehicles, it seems like they've got so many of these things going. They've got Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. They're called MAD. And I think we ought to form us a group and call it DAD. That's Drive a Drunk. See, and that way anybody that's got anything going, they can get someplace and call up, and we don't let them pay in cash, we give them credit cards. That way the help can't lift it from you and not pay Sam. But anyway, this old boy didn't care enough about any of that because he had his check cut for him. He drove for the governor. Yes, he drove for the governor, and he enjoyed it. But they switched a new unit in on him, and he was used to 4 or 5 on the floor. Didn't make no difference. He was bad anyway. He was police, but he's plain clothes, and people didn't know he was bad news. I'd smoke cigarettes in my sleep if I had somebody to hold them. Excuse me, beloved, but that thing was ready to burn my hand. If it got down to the filter, I'd have been lost. And straight away there, the commissioner of highways says, well, here's you a new unit. How do you like it? He says, I like it fine. So in a little while, he comes back with that car, just tore all to pieces. I mean, just broke bad. And he said, man, what in the world did you do to that new unit? He said, well, that's just exactly what it was. It was new. And said, I get in there, and I didn't see no shift stick, so I just saw that N, and I figured that was nothing. So I put the indicator into nothing, and it started right on up. And then I see that L, and I figured that must be leap, so I throwed it into leap and cut out. Now I'm going down the highway about 65 miles an hour, and here comes some cat up alongside me like he wants to play and like he's going to drag, so I just dropped it into DR. And we got on up there about 110 miles an hour, and he tried to get cute and tried to get around me, and I just threw it up into race. He's still picking his teeth off that windshield. You know, beloved, a lot of times they're talking about today about the exorbitant costs of promoting things, even if it's nonprofit. For instance, for raising funds for the performing arts, or whether it's for the historical society or whoever it's being raised for, it do not make no difference. But there's one fellow one day back in the horse and buggy days that had the idea of raising money off of something that would make George Jones look like a novice. And he had himself a show going, and he come into this little town, and he put up on the billboard a great big sign saying, watch for it. Then a little while later, he comes along and says, it's coming. Folks is already talking in the little town. Wonder what we got to watch for. Wonder who's coming. Wonder if could it be that, or could it possibly be, it'll be here January the 26th. Come, everybody wants to see it. They've never seen it before. Everybody wants to see it. Tickets on sale, blap. He comes up there and he gets in the box office and he just sells the place out. It's packed. And he's got one person working for him in his crew. Now, that's really efficiency. And he gets in his buggy and takes all the money, and he tells the porter, says, run back and pull up the curtain. And he went up and pulled up the curtain, and there's a great big sign saying, it's gone. Yes, beloved, when you think about those things and wonder about them today, how many people are indulging in different ideas of ideology, and they talk about those different things, about those different ideas. Well, this is about Texas. Texas, the big friendly voice of North America, Fort Worth, 11, Texas. Brother Silas, come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember the Red River Valley and the cowboy that tore her heart in two. Hum, 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 hum. Oh, that's humming. Hello out there in Radio Land, dear hearts. Oh, have you got your radios on? Well, how do they fit? Yes, that is something to think about tonight. Come, woo, and sit by my side, little darling. Do not hasten. Do you realize the power of that little three-letter word not spelled backwards? It's ton. Oh, isn't that heavy? Doesn't that weigh on you? If you think that little three-letter word not don't mean something, beloved, think of when Charlton Heston were receiving the 10 strokes. If he'd left out that little three-letter word not, they'd be tearing it up in Maggie Valley tonight. Yes, they'd be literally rocking around the clock and going into oblivion, into another dimension of cosmic glee. But before we get into the testimony, we want to thank you so very much for them nice, fat, Letters. That is Fat Letters, Texas. F-A-T, fat, that's the way you spell it. Letters, L-E-T-T-E-R-S, Fat Letters, Texas. Now you send it, S-C-N-D-I-T, to us. No, it might go to the government. Send it to we, that's my own group, the N-A-A-W-T. That's the National Association for the Advancement of White Trash. Now you send it in to us. Now that's to us, T-O-U-S, we, and send it right away. That's R-I-T-E-A-W-A-Y, right away, Texas. And send it now, and never mind them stingy prayer cards. We're sick and tired of praying for you for nothing. Pray for your own self. You know better what's bugging you. And now, beloved, here comes Esselie to testify, and she's come all the way. Praise God. How many of you can say you've done that today? Come all the way. Bless your hearts. Come on in here, Esselie.
Thank you so very much, Brother Day. Yes, I was listless and run down.
Is that run down enough for you?
So my stomach was in such an upset condition I couldn't even stare at my hub. But after taking 36 boxes of ocean toner tablets, I will put my stomach up against anybody's.
Tell them about it.
Yes, you next.
Oh, Lord. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Keep them letters coming. Remember the Red River Valley and the cowboy that tore her heart in two. Are you from Dixie? I say from Dixie, where the fields of cotton beckon to me. I want to see you. I say, how be you? You're a friend I'm longing to see. If you from Tennessee or Alabama, Caroline, any place below the Mason, Dixon line, are you from Dixie? Hooray for Dixie, 'cause I'm from Dixie too. Are you from Dixie? I say from Dixie, where the fields of cotton beckon to me. I want to see you. I say, how be you? You're a friend I'm longing to see. If you from Tennessee or Alabama, Caroline, any place below the Mason, Dixon line, are you from Dixie? Hooray for Dixie, 'cause I'm from Dixie too. They say, are there still racial problems in the United States of America? Yes, and everywhere else. If it ain't racial, it's religious. That's why they try to contrast it with black and white. Black ain't no color and white ain't no color. That's why I've talked to some of them beloved hearts. They say,
I don't like to be called no Negro, 'cause that means black in Spanish.
just as serious. And you forget to remember the little song.
Red and yellow, black and white. There is precious in the siren. Jesus! Love the little children of the world.
But the show is sick of the adults. When you realize you really don't know, that's when it opens up and you start to break loose. Oh, it's so good. Folks talk about that. Some people's been drinking 30 years. Whip the hair off their children's head for smoking flower tops. I'm even talking about law. Some people don't know that. They don't think about that. But I ought to do this one for you because you're here. And that's the only reason. Do you realize, dear hearts, if y'all hadn't showed up, we wouldn't have nobody? That's right. Tell it to somebody who don't care. And if you're marveling about interest rates going up and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, you know, I didn't come out of the closet. I didn't even have a closet to get in. Gosh, I'm smoking this filter. I'm going to transcend this whole scope of limitation and go into another direction that ain't even going to be this earth. God. See, I've got you blocked off so you can't get me. But anyway, it don't make... Wonder if we could get this high if it was legal. Did you know somebody come running back and grabbed a hold of me and said, oh, and telling all of his friends, Jewish person, telling all his friends, said, oh, Brother Dave was on this stuff before it was legal. Beloved, it ain't legal. It's still against the law. We can pray for it. We got about as much chance of legalizing that as we have as getting our country back. But we can sneak off and pray about it, and we'll get our country back. And I noticed down here in Boiling Springs, right down to the little police station today, but just a little thing looks like a laundromat. Ain't nobody ever in there, and they got them a little weed plant, and they're letting it die. I mean, some of them class police departments in the narcotics division really grow real plants. Get them up 12, 13 feet and then climb on them, scream because they can't make a case stick. Yeah, the grand jury wouldn't believe them because the person didn't snitch out on himself. Now think about that, what fell from out of the sky. Although they say it is 1/10 of 1% of the action that moves about in this country. Wonder what they're doing in France with that cocaine. Now think about that, beloved. What in the world would any of us sitting in here know what to do with it if we found a pound of it in the yard? I mean, the first telephone call you make, they'd think you're crazy. If you called the law, they'd take it away from you. Think about it. And then as soon as you get it, they'd take it away from you. And then hide it somewhere. And then it disappears. Well, up in Ella-J, Georgia, J-O-J-O, in Spanish that's ho-ho. It fell out of the sky. The cat missed the place he's supposed to drop the jive. And he dropped about, some 500-600 pounds of that stuff in little canisters. And it hit the ground, just bounced. And the way it got discovered is with some cows. And these bovines come, milk cows, and they come over there. Think how high they could get children for a year. And them cows just loped over there and nosed into that salt. That new salt, they thought it was, and come away from there with their nice moisty nose just covered, looked like a snow cone. And these two cows loped over to see the farmer and said, hey, man, we certainly do thank you for that nice new salt you give us. Said it's done froze our noses. The farmer said, what new salt? I ain't putting no new salt out. Said, well, come on and look at it. And he said, okay. And so he truck on over there and look at it, reached down there and froze his lips. He'd say, hey, I've lost my lips. So he don't know what it is. He calls up the GBI. That's the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And they creep out there and take all of it away from him. And it's supposed to be overrated. And what he didn't realize is that cow had been talking to him for 20 minutes. Ain't that weird? I don't know what any of us would do with any of it. I was thinking about getting me some stand back in a little bottle, so when I go to them high-class places, and just pass them stand backs around, in that little bottle. Them folks just get to know so crazy. But now, remember back in the days when you're not allowed to smoke in church, you could start a run on Garrett snuff in Bruton. And I mean, people that can't afford no $2,500 a day habit, I mean, that won't turn you to crime, but I mean, it'll make you seriously go to work. Yeah, I lost my mind. I see that cat nodding at me and said, damn, Brother Dave, you're gone. I did. I mislaid it. I mislaid my mind one day, and I didn't have anything to hunt for it with. Yes, finally found it under the couch looking at me, just smiling. Just as gleeful. But anyway, because there is so many of our beloved law enforcement people and their families have joined with us tonight in this revival of the Cosmic Clutch from all parts of North Carolina and East Tennessee and Georgia and Virginia. And General Robert E. Lee never did surrender. He thought Ulysses S. Grant was a drunken doorman. Handed him his sword and was too much of a gentleman to ask for it back. Abe Lincoln, old non-stop lanky link. Remember Abe? See, that's why they're saying that there's so many people graduating from school today that are illiterate. But see, that's okay, beloved. I could communicate to them and they don't have to spell it. Somebody walk up to somebody and say, well, spell it. Say I-T. That's all you have to know. That's right. There's a testimony. Listen, I know y'all love me because I loved you first. And let me put something on you. I done had myself a heart attack, and when I got to that hospital, and I had 5 shots of that Demerol in me, and I'm just having a good time, that nurse had the audacity to run out and ask my new little wife, the one that gave me the heart attack in the first place, was that little white-haired gentleman on something? I hope to God to tell you I was roaring and it was legal. I was thinking about having one every month. I finally got to the VA, though, because, you know, I mean, they said at first from the get-go or the outset that I just couldn't because, well, by the time they'd gotten me to the VA hospital, I would have split my little frame and gone into another dimension, whatever that is. But you see, they said I died 3 times, and I'm telling you right here, you don't have to read it in the National Enquirer. I never seen Jesus or the devil. I never saw any of them people. Hell, I just had a good time. And they say there's a difference between a Northern Baptist and a Southern Baptist, and somebody said, oh, no, they're together. Oh, no, Northern Baptist says there ain't no hell, and the Southern Baptist says, hell, they ain't. Say, Brother D, I'd like to know something.
What's that?
Is it true what they say about Dixie? Do the sun all the time? Do the sweet magnolias blossom everybody's door? Do the folks keep eating possum? They can't eat no more. Is it true what they say about money? It's a dream, but a dream so sublime. Do they laugh and love like it's saying everything been true? That's where I belong. People brag, people boast, and consistently drink a toast to a place, a lot of them place at the top of the list. Am I wrong? Am I right? Is there a reason for their delight? I must live in doubt till the day that I found out. Yes, it's true what they say about Dixie. See there, and the sun really shines all the time. Oh, sweet magnolias blossom all everybody's door. Folks eating possum sandwiches until they can't eat no more. Oh, it's true what they say about money. And a dream, but a dream is so sublime. Do they laugh and love like it's saying every song? If it's true, that's where I belong. Well, this cat down there in Louisiana near the Boogaloo had one of those old houses, one of them old antebellum type mansions. And he done got it historical classified through Bobby Freeman, lieutenant governor, because the governor down there wouldn't probably go for that because he'd have a little bit more smart. Not saying that Bobby ain't got none, but I mean, that's just the way he is. He's a free man. And so this fella's got this house declared historical and said it was used as a hospital and everything, doing the wall between the states and all that kind of jive. And there didn't nobody stay in it because it wasn't built until 1936. But he wanted to unload it because of taxes and everything that's getting to him, and he wanted to sell it to a Yankee as a tourist trap. And he had this story worked out real good, and he had him a Yankee all set up to go for the action. But there was one problem. The house was rumored to be haunted. And that's just in case any of you Yankees are in this place. That means haunted. And it's one of them big old houses, and so he's got to get somebody to stay in that old house and spook away the spooks. So he goes outside there, and he sees Willie sitting on a bale of cotton. Now, I don't have any idea what Cotton was doing sitting on there, or Willie sitting on a bale of cotton when that's rice and cane country, and peppers. But anyway, he don't care nothing about that, and he says, "Hey, Willie," said, "are you scared of anything?" He said, "No, sir, I'm not scared of anything or nothing neither." I ain't scared of either one of them. I said, "Well, that certainly is nice." He said, "Would you mind spending the night in that old house of mine down there in the Boogaloo?" He said, "No, sir. As a matter of fact, that is one of our things, is housing." "I wouldn't mind spending the night anywhere." He said, "Well, that's good, but you got to put something on me, because I ain't going to do it for nothing. I mean, even if you could come up with it, I ain't going to do it for nothing." I said, "Well, what is nothing?" "Nothing is the sum total of the absence of everything."